Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Stick around till the end of this video as I'm going to give you nuggets in microeconomics. Are you taking microeconomics for the first time? Or have you been busy with other tasks or other things and you haven't been studying and your exams are due soon and you feel like microeconomics is overwhelming? Well then, you at the right place at the right time. I'm going to summarize economics in a few minutes. There are about 12 topics, if not 10, but I'm going to give you the top 7 topics you should study and understand. Once you study these and apply yourself properly, you'll be able to get 70 to 80% depending on how you apply yourself. So, the first topic in economics is the introduction. The introduction comprises of the definition. So, before we go further, what is economics? Economics is all around us. It's in the household, in our places of work, in society, it's everywhere. So economics exists because of two things: unlimited wants and limited resources. So our needs and wants are unlimited, while resources are limited. The limited resources are simply the factors of production. And the factors of production include the way you've known them all along. It's simply land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and time, guys. Let me explain how. So land is in limited supply. Not everyone owns land to conduct business activities, and not everyone is able to rent. Some might have brilliant ideas, but land is not available. Labor, there are different types of labor. Semi-skilled labor, highly skilled labor. Not everyone is educated or qualified for a particular job, and not everyone, for example, not everyone can be good bricklayers. So that's why they are scarce. They're in limited supply. Capital, not everyone has capital to start a business. Entrepreneurship organizes these three factors of production. Not everyone is an entrepreneur. And then time, guys. Time is limited in the sense that a day only has 24 hours. I can also give you an example of a lecturer, a freelancer. He's a very good lecturer. He can lecture anyone at any place. And I said freelancer, but he can't be at CBU, UNZAM, or ZCAS at 8 hours on Tuesday. No. He can only be in one place at one particular time. Another example I'd give you is on music. I love music, and my favorite Zambian producer is Muzo Beats. He can produce any type of song you want, but he can't produce for 3 artists at the same time because he can only be in one place at a particular time. These are the factors of production. So the other concepts that you have to understand and appreciate aside from scarcity and choice is rationality. So the fact that resources are scarce and you need to make a choice. When making a choice, you have to be rational. So rationality simply means you have to gather all the available information regarding a situation and then make an informed decision that's going to benefit you. Yeah. So for example, a business organization is debating whether to buy a new machine or to employ new people. So you gather all the information about the machine, how it works, how much it costs, and the opportunity cost of employing people. So if you are making enough profits and you want to expand your business, the revenue is there, it's better you buy a machine. But if it's when you're just starting the business, a machine might be expensive. Just buying the machine might cost you a lot. So it's better you just employ more people because labor is a bit flexible. So you make such decisions. You have to be rational. Yeah. And then the other concept is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is simply the value of the best foregone alternative. Yeah. So in economics, we base things on assumptions. We assume a lot. So opportunity cost is another important concept. Yeah. We'll look at it again further. So the opportunity cost can be highlighted on the PPF curve, the production possibility frontier. So the assumptions for the possibility production frontier are as follows. Firstly, only two products or services can be produced in this given economy: product X and product Y. Okay, the technology used is fixed. The resources available are limited, and the economy is at full employment and there's full efficiency. All resources are utilized. So we can produce along the curve at point A, point B, and point C. That's efficiency. But you can't produce at point E because it's outside the frontier cave, simply because resources are limited. And you can also produce at point D, but it's within the cave. This simply shows inefficiency. Resources are not fully utilized. So there's a wastage in simple terms, but you just say it's inefficient. Okay, so that's the PPC or PPF cave. And I've also spoken of opportunity cost. I'll give you an example on opportunity cost. We'll tackle a question together. So just stick around to this YouTube channel. And then marginal. So as economists, we think at the margin. A little bit more or a little bit less of something is better than nothing at all. Trade-offs is simply related to opportunity cost. So trade-off is, for example, you want to marry Jane or Mary. You're going to look at the characteristics of Mary and Jane, and you can't marry both. You have to pick one. So you are going to trade off. If you've chosen Jane, you're going to trade off the characteristics of the other girl in order to be with Jane. So trade-off is related to opportunity cost. Other important concepts are positive economics versus normative economics. Positive economics is simply objective economics. It's cause and end economics. It can be proven. For example, you can say the unemployment rate in Zambia is high. It can be proven. It's objective. You can just go to the CSO, Central Statistic Office. The statistics of people who are unemployed and people who are employed. It's proven. Normative economics can be in order to reduce the unemployment rate of Zambia, it's better to encourage school leavers to engage in crafts such as bricklaying. So this is a suggestion. It's not proven. It's just an opinion or a belief. Like if students engage in crafts, it's not proven that it will reduce the unemployment rate in Zambia. So that's normative economics. It's more into policy formulation. Yeah. Micro versus macroeconomics. Microeconomics deals with individual entities, households, and firms, while macro, it's at the national level. It deals with issues such as GDP, employment rate, unemployment rate, and exchange rate. It's at a higher level. Yeah. Micro, as it suggests, is something limited at household level or at a firm. Macro, national level. Think of Zambia, the entire country. In economics, we also have mathematics. Remember, economics is a social science and science involves maths as well. So there are many maths principles we employ in economics, such as relationships, positive or negative relationships. For example, the relationship between demand and price is inverse. When the price increases, the demand reduces. When the price reduces, the demand increases. So that relationship is inverse. While the relationship between supply and price is positive. When the price increases, supply increases as well. When the price reduces, supply also reduces. But the most important equation is the y is equals to mx plus c equation. Why? Because this helps us to plot the supply curve and the demand curve on an x or y plane. I'll show you how we plot. Yeah, when you're given equations for demand and supply. So the y is equals to mx plus c equation is very important. This is the equation of a straight line. M is simply the gradient, x is the x coordinate, plus c is a constant, y is a y variable. Yeah. And then the third topic is fundamental questions and economic systems. So the fundamental questions are, what are we going to produce? For who are we going to produce? Okay, and how are we going to produce? So what are we going to produce? How are we going to produce? And for whom are we going to produce? So economic systems answer those questions differently. For example, we've got a planned economy, which is also called command economy, mixed economy, and market economy or capitalism. So planned economy, it's where all the factors of production are controlled and owned by the government. So in the planned economy, the government answers the three questions: what to produce, how to produce, and for who to produce. While in a market system, Those three questions are left by the forces of supply and demand. Okay, so people will produce what people want. Simply put, while in a mixed economy, the three questions are simply answered by a combined effort of the market and the government. So the market might decide what to produce, for whom to produce, and how to produce, but the government may interfere from time to time through price ceilings and price floors in order to protect the consumers and sometimes even the suppliers. Yes. And then the next topic is the most important topic, supply and demand. And I earlier hinted on demand and supply. So demand is simply the quantity of goods and services a given society are willing and able to pay for. So the two important terms in demand are willing and able. You might be willing to do something, but you're unable. So willing and able is very important. And then supply is the quantity of products suppliers are willing and able to supply at a given series of prices. Very important, willing and able. Remember, for suppliers, there's a profit motive. If the price is very low, they may not supply because they don't want to make a loss. So that's supply and demand. So there are also determinants of demand and determinants of supply. We'll look at them further in another video. So we have to know the basic concepts of supply and demand. Okay. Then the next topic is elasticity. Elasticity is simply the responsiveness to price changes. So there are two types of elasticity, point and arc elasticity. Point elasticity is just a change, a small change. It's a move along the demand or supply curve. While arc, the difference is huge. So I'll talk about these formulas in another video. So you have to know that there are two different types of elasticity and you have to also know the formulas. Okay. And then the next topic is consumer choice. Under consumer choice, there's utility and budget constraints. Utility is simply the satisfaction obtained from consuming a good or service. So utility can be cardinal or ordinal utility. Cardinal utility can be measured numerically using units called utils. Okay, while ordinal utility cannot be measured numerically using units, but you can rank it in terms of preferences. I prefer hungry lion to Nando's. Budget constraint simply means you can only spend according to the money you have. You can't go beyond the money you have. That's simply budget constraints. And then market structures. We've got the following market structures. There's a monopoly. There's a perfect competition. There's a oligopoly. And there's a monopolistic competition. So if you study them in this order, you won't get confused. So I've started the most different structures possible so that you don't get confused. So monopoly is simply where there's one supplier of a good or service. There are no competitors, there's no substitute or close substitute, but there's only one company providing a service. For example, Zesco. Yeah. And then perfect competition, there are simply many buyers, many sellers of identical goods and services. And there's a lot of information on the price. Here, people selling are simply price takers. And then oligopoly, the industry is dominated by a few large firms, and these guys usually know each other and they communicate and they coordinate. Yeah, for example, the telecommunication industry where there's Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel, just a few players, but they are large firms that dominate it. They don't compete according to price, but they compete according to non-price mechanisms. Yeah, and the prices are similar. You find Airtel bundles at 10 kwacha and Airtel and MTN bundles at 10 kwacha, but maybe the volumes differ, but the price is the same. While monopolistic competition is simply a market structure where there are many buyers and sellers selling slightly differentiated products and services. For example, restaurants. You can have a restaurant and Jane can also have a restaurant, but you can differentiate your product by spicing up your meals or providing extra things such as fruits and beverages. So you differentiate your service. in that way. Another example is boutiques. You can easily differentiate. So these are the 7 topics you need to study in microeconomics, and I've just given you the explanations in less than 20 minutes. Yeah, so study these topics. Don't forget to share this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content. Till the next one, guys, take care.